But there is a blueprint as to how to stop Alauddin Ajare. Perhaps the clubs will be looking at what Shillong Lajong are doing today and say, to work on. Toy Singh with the run. Is he onside? He set the ball in play, puts in the cross. Doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I think with the blueprint in terms of stopping Ajare today hasn't necessarily been in terms of stopping Ajare directly. It's more stopping the service into him. And I think even on that occasion, you look, Ajare had pulled out into a really good position on the top of the box. Toy Singh just didn't manage to find him with a cutback.
Muthukanan chips the ball towards Rinzwala. Ajare, Andy, Andre Jose Rodriguez Gaitan, and that's why Andy. Chima Nunez. Ajare, uncharacteristic heavy touch by him. The goal scorer Radeem Klang almost put himself in a spot of bother. Foul again on Thoi, who's picked up quite a few punches since he's come onto the pitch.
I think that's what his coach will be happy with. We talk about ball retention. Even the fact that because of the way he plays, he draws a lot of fouls from defenders. Latin on the moving up and down that sort of area. I think it's a little bit easier to walk around than it is with sprints.
It's good to see that then. Andy, meanwhile, will take this free kick. We can see what he was thinking. Damait could have done better perhaps, but has gone out for a throw. This crowd has been entertained so far.
Yeah, you see these slippery conditions now in the game. You see players losing their footing a little bit. We've seen in a couple of the games in Shillong, the evening games, where the towels have had to come out for teams that prefer the long throw.
Klang trying to slip it through. Kept in play now. Almost, but in vain. That's Damait. Launches it towards Frankie Buam, but it's Radeem Klang who cuts it off. Chima Nunez is not being able to get onto the ball. And if you're the playmaker of the side, that's a cause for concern. Muthukanan couldn't keep the ball because Glady was clever, and now it's Sheen. Shillong Lajong can pile on the numbers, but Sheen decides to put in an early cross. A heavy touch by Ashir Akhtar into the grateful hands of Gurmeet.
Yeah, that touch could have gone anywhere. Fortunately for Gurmeet, looped into his hands. It's allowed him to set Ajare off on this counter-attack. Good strength by Ajare.
Mullah's on a yellow card, remember. And Ajare is just wrestling with him. He wins the foul.
Well, just need a little bit of help from a teammate. It's where you don't need to win the ball if you've got your facing the goal, the sideline, facing away from goal. There's no need to overcommit. Ajare using all his experience to win aside the free kick, and this is where they can pile some pressure on this Lajong side. That's going to get more and more nervous as the game progresses now, with the scoreline staying this way.
It's taken by the left foot of Andy. Ajare is lurking, cleared away just before it gets to him. He always gets himself into interesting positions, always knows where the ball will land. Alauddin Ajare, perhaps that's the secret to his success, time and again. 23 goals in the ISL last season. First man to cross the 20 mark in the history of the league. Long ball launched forward by Gurmeet towards Samte's run. Again, perhaps that due that you were talking about, Brad, just makes the ball skip away a little bit faster than you would ideally want it to.
Yeah, that's why you see the way Lajong play, keeping it along the ground is a little bit easier way of handling the conditions in these night games. But we wondered whether they could maintain that sort of intensity and press that they had in the first half. The way Toy coming onto the field for Northeast, they made some adjustments, a lot better in their ball retention, having more possession as the game's grown. You know, obviously having the goal lead now, there's no pressure on them as such to necessarily go forward with every single attack, and they'd be more than happy to try and draw Lajong out and find the space in behind.
Yet again, one more long ball eventually, because it just seemed like Shillong Lajong were harrowing the defenders. It was towards Samte. 14,119 is the official attendance today at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Shillong. Just a handful of seats right at the front that are empty. That's because you can't really view properly from there. Ishima Nunez in a bit of space. Sheen put the shutter down.
Don't need to just absorb a little bit of pressure in this game, and this is where they've just got to be careful. That's the second or third time that kickbox's been caught in possession on this occasion because of that needless foul that he's committed against Ajari. Now again, he's going to be walking a tightrope on a yellow card.
Brad, we got an answer meanwhile after this foul. The fourth official right now is not Senthil Nathan, it's Pratik Mandal.
They were. Could have a standby referees. I was just looking through the rules at halftime about what happens in case of there isn't one more injury and there isn't anybody. I think they put out an announcement that somebody in the crowd who's got a referee's license.
That would be fascinating, although we wouldn't want that to happen. Shot from distance after the punch by Sybil. Acrobatic.
Yeah, this is where second phase balls, Lajong need to be a little bit better, both the throw-ins and the set pieces. Once again, just caught coming out from the back again. On the right-hand side of the field, they're losing possession, Lajong. Uncharacteristic. Maybe it's just a case of the nerves, the pressure getting on this young side.
Oddly enough, Brad, just going back to that referee thing, I think it's happened once in a League 2 match in England where they had to call a referee down from the stands. Someone who had a refereeing license because the two officials were unavailable eventually. As far as I remember, social media sometimes puts these little nuggets in front of you. Meanwhile, a foul, and this time it is Shillong Lajong that can put some pressure. Again, it's Ashir Akhtar who needs to be very careful.
Yeah, needs to be careful, but I think again, once again, good. That's what Everbrightson's probably saying, like how many times, but you can see what Ashir is saying as well, and I think that's where fair play to Everbrightson. Clever for a young kid. What he's trying to do is he's trying to get Ashir Akhtar hooked, and he's holding on to this. Normally you see the defenders holding on to the attacker's shirt to prevent them, and he's holding on to Ashir's shirt to almost get him to sort of retaliate, see if he can get him hooked, get him carded.
Frankie Buam from distance once more. He tried that in the first half, and when it didn't happen, he took another bite of the cherry.
And this is where Lajong missing some free kick expertise. Normally, Hadi Cliff Nongri last season was their set piece specialist. They've always had some really, really good practitioners of set pieces over the years. You think of, you mentioned Hadi Cliff, Samuela, who's now playing for Diamond Harbour. Before that, the likes of Boitan Haukib, Eugene Lingo, some really, really top free kick specialists, and even the likes of the legend Renedy Singh also wore the famous red jersey at once upon a time.
Renedy could score a free kick from any angle, couldn't he? Just wrap that right foot around. Again, It's Buam, or rather, that was Tairang who showed some strength against Muttukana. Muttu. Buam. Chima Nunez. Ken Stars out of position. Rinzwala against Tariang. Chima Nunez supporting the youngster. Rinzwala's in the box. He goes towards the byline. Heavy touch and a chance moves from northeast side.
Rinzwala just winning his side, a corner, tight space, just trying to sort of wriggle through a really tight angle. He's been pretty quiet this entire game. Rinzwala, it's a tough adjustment coming from Aizawl FC, and that's probably the last meaningful contribution from Lin Lal Rinzwala as he makes way for Parthiv Gogoi, who's scored in the last game. And been pretty impressive in his last couple of seasons for Northeast United, and pose a different problem for Shillong Lajong in the remainder of this game.
And he takes the corner. It's got a lot of height, and it meets Sabako, but he just couldn't divert it towards the goal. Slipped there by Buam. Muthukanan trying to chip it towards Ajare. Sabako's back now. Parthiv Gogoi, of course, put the final nail in the coffin against Bodoland. Once the 90 minutes were over, offside against Parthiv, who's taken the central striking position. And you didn't see that much during the ISL last season. Whenever there was Parthiv and Jitin on the pitch, it was Aladin Ajaria that would lead the line, and that would be nested behind them. So that's an interesting change for Parthiv Gogoi as well, playing in that central channel.
I think Parthiv enjoys playing more down centrally, good with his back to goal, looks to play on the shoulder sometimes also. The last man can get in behind. I think it just suits Ajari's game better. So I think that's what Juan Pedro Bernal is trying to say, is find the best fit for how can you get the best out of Aladin Ajari. And I think you're looking at so far the way they played in the tournament, I just don't think he's had the service that he enjoyed last season. Obviously, we've got the likes of Carlton Nixon, who's on the bench today. He was one of their key players last season in that centre midfield, and I think that's where it's just the puzzle with the new signings, how to fit Chima and Andy and to get the best out of Aladin Ajare.
It is Ajare! That's his first shot on goal, and he wasn't far away. The reaction says it all.
Good interplay between the Northeast United players, and just that's the cleverness of Ajay. On a couple of occasions where he just pulls himself out into getting good goal scoring positions. You don't score goals hanging outside in wide areas, and look at it, he's in a central position, and he'll be disappointed, unmarked, that he hasn't managed to hit the target and ask more questions of Suel. And that's where Lajong will have to be very, very wary, because he is not going to miss too many if you give him those kind of chances from inside the box. I think if it's 2-0 down, I don't see Lajong coming back into this game. So, to switch on.
Remember, Moola's on a yellow card as well, so having to be last man against the pacey Parthiv Gogoi, that could spell trouble for him. 2 out of the 4 have been cautioned at the back for Shillong Lajong. Kitbok and Moola. Moola, in fact, got a yellow card very early on in the game. He's been playing with that caution since. It's Moola itself who clears the lines.
You saw this in the last game for Lajong too against Navy, where you felt this is the moments in the game where they suddenly start to feel a little bit of a lull, and they ended up and made some substitutes which had an impact on the game. Will he have to do that again?
Toy challenging Tariang. Toy slips. Tariang stands firm. Wang. Daryang just putting pressure onto himself. Needs his captain. And it's Shillong that can lunge forward, but Pradeep Talang crunching in his challenge. Virendra Thapa perhaps might be thinking of the changes he wants to make. Couple done by Juan Pedro Benali already. Toy and Parthiv coming on. Daryang with the throw. Damait was lining up the shot, but it was cleared just in time by Muthu Manakanan. And now Chima Nunez can slip it towards Parthiv Gogoi. This could be problems for Shillong Lajong. Parthiv has been forced wide though. He finds Andy. Andy, calm and composed, crashes it into the post. Curtains for Shillong Lajong.
That is the risk for Shillong on the counter-attack. As he commit both full-backs forward, it was a 2v2 break. As it just played back into Andy's, curled it around. Keeper was well and truly beaten, but just the thickness of the post prevents Juan Pedro Benali from celebrating another passage into the finals for Northeast United.
So close yet so far for Andy to get his second goal in this competition, this season. The new signing.
Yeah, this is where, of course, you can see Virendra Thapa just having a chat with his bench around this 65th minute, where he brought on Figo Sindai for Trimiki in their last game. Had an impact. You wonder what changes could he make. Trimiki would be one of the obvious players to come into midfield and have a little bit more of an impact, or does he just gamble? Maybe change the formation, put two forwards up.
You have to go for broke eventually. There is no choice. Remember, there is no extra time in this format. It's direct penalties after the formal 90. Ajare gets past his marker. Trademark Ajare run, crashes into Mula. And sometimes you wonder, could he have just passed? Called back for a foul. Andy, of course, from Northeast United, playing the role that Mohammad Ali Bemamed played so expertly last time around. He's a Real Madrid youth product. Spent some time in Levante as well. Almost gave his side that 2-goal cushion a few minutes ago. Another free kick, another chance for Shillong Lajong. Glad he takes it. Gurmeet at the second attempt, nervy by the goalkeeper. Yet not a single shot on target though. Brad, how are you going to score a goal if you can't even find the target? Meanwhile, on the other end, Ajare, he had slipped through, couldn't find the telling touch.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference tonight, is just in terms of testing the goalkeeper. They made life pretty easy for Gurmeet. If you have a look at this, there was an offside on the first phase, but the ball wasn't played to him, and I think that's where the Lajong defenders just switched off, and that ball curled around a little bit more. Aladdin would have had the simplest of tap-ins.
Another chance, another sigh of relief for Shillong Lajong as Buang is clear on goal. Pradeep Talang with the challenge. It'd be fascinating to see the referee's decision. He says no foul, no penalty. A tackle from behind. But Lalit Singh Rawat claims that Pradeep Talang got the ball. Parthiv at the other end. The game's opened up.
And it's a game-saving tackle from the man whose goal separates the two sides. It's a wonderful through ball from Everbrightson. Frank Gorman got the better of the defender, and he had to time that to perfection. And he slides, make sure he got full contact with the ball. And that is why it's not a penalty.
Meanwhile, as the action continues, Gladdy, Sheen, offside, Everbrightson.
Yes, much better from Lajong. This is what they need to do. Get the ball on the ground, play it, move it around quickly. They have the better of legs in terms of getting past some of these rather static-looking Northeast players today. Just timing of the run just went a little bit too early on that occasion that time. You can see Figo just going a little bit early, and Everbrightson just a little bit tired, getting himself back into an onside position, and I think that was an obvious one. They might making way, as we thought, and the other player making way as well as Figo, and I think a fair play to Duran, but he's gambling. I think he's going with the second striker, the likes of Abe Gurum, or will he just stick with the same formation, but certainly bringing on more attacking intent.
And Trimiti as well. He was a solitary change in the lineup today for Damai. So an attacking outlook by Virender Thapa. First few touches for the sub. Abe has gone on to the left wing for now.
Certainly a gamble from Shillong Lajong. I think the reason, the rationale behind keeping Trimiki on the bench, playing with the likes of Damed and Gadi today, was to have a little bit more defensive solidity, to make sure they don't get sucker punched on the transitions. They certainly have looked a lot more compact, a lot more difficult to break down. I think defensively they've had a really good game, and they'll be very disappointed, especially in the manner in which they've gone a goal down. I mean, Northeast have had some chances. They could probably say in terms of clear-cut chances, ask questions of the goalkeeper and the back line. They possibly deserve to have scored one goal. It's the manner in which they've scored is going to be what disappoints the coach and the Lajong faithful tonight. But I think the way they've played Lajong, they certainly are good value to get one goal in this game.
No doubt about it. Mickey, of course, has a goal to his name as well in this competition. Left-footed shot from Ajare, who's now setting his sights on goal, isn't he?
Yeah, so if you look at the percentage, there's not many games where you allow Aladdin Ajare to have 5 shots on goal. He hasn't kept too many on target, but eventually keep giving those chances. He's going to score. He is going to trouble the score sheet. So I think the next 10 minutes are going to be crucial for Lajong. If they can start asserting a little bit more dominance, put a bit more pressure on this Northeast back line, we can be in for an absolute grandstand finish.
Sewell has to come off his line before Toy, and now Parthiv can take a shot. Straight there. There was a wall in red and yellow. Parthiv, of course, one of the goal scorers in the 2024 semi-final on this ground itself. Toy had scored in the 13th minute, Aladdin Ajare in the 32nd, and in the 93rd. This, of course, is last year, where Northeast United lifted the Indian Oil Duran Cup when they defeated Mohan Bagan Supergiant in the final by virtue of penalties. This time around, it's Pradeep Lang that's still the separator.
See, the subs have certainly made an impact for Northeast United. The likes of Parthiv Gogoi and Toy definitely positive impacts since they've come on, causing a lot more problems for Shillong Lajong backline and midfield line as well. than what they were facing in the first half. And this is where I think we talked about bench strength is crucial at this stage of the competition. I mean, everyone's got a strong starting 11, but when you sort of nullify one another, what changes can you make off the bench? And I think that's where Lajong possibly just don't have that strength off of the bench to cause ask too many questions for the opposition. There's not really much else that Virendra Thapa can do in terms of impacting with subs.
Ajare, using his strength, overhits his pass towards Thoi. He goes out for a goal kick. Thoi Singh, one of the substitutes that Brad was just highlighting, is coming in, has given Shillong Lajong something different to think about. A change in terms of their personnel in the front three. Parthiv has now gone on to the right. Ajare is in the center. Thoi is gone to the left. Chema Nunez getting to see much more of the ball in the second half. Parthiv. Post back. Almost stolen away from Ashir Akhtar there. Namte. This is good build-up play by Northeast United, going from one end to the other. Namte keeps it in. Parthiv Gogoi. It's a shot by Thoi. He targeted the near post.
Yeah, sloppiness from Shillong Lajong. They did well to snuff out the initial threat. Guam went on the overlap and cut it back a little bit, cuts the ball out, but then it's just sloppy. Lets himself get pickpocketed inside the penalty box. Thoi with some silky feet, almost putting the game out of Lajong's reach.
Shena and Parthiv come in each other's way, and Ken Star comes in Ajare's way. Intercepts that pass. Abhay. Oh, delicious ball by Abhay. You could see what he was trying to do. Trying to find that run from midfield with the outside of his boot.
Really promising attack. Atish, you felt could Abhay have played that a little bit earlier? Ever Brighton wanted it, but as he delayed it, as you put it, delicious looking ball, but it was just slightly overcooked.
It always does look nice, doesn't it, when you use the outside of your foot? Adds a little bit more flair. So you have to choose the right word to accompany it as well. Can't just say, oh, what a pass that was. Even though it didn't find its maker. Meanwhile, it's reached the other end. Northeast United slowing things down. Radim Tlang taking his time, knows there's only about 12-13 minutes and then a bit of additional time to contend with. Shema Nunez, another new signing. Tlang couldn't find him. Ever Brightson is still showing enough and more stamina to charge through from half line. Parthiv could be slipped through, intercepted just in time by the Shillong Lajong captain Ken Star. Shillong Lajong preparing for a double sub. You can see it at the bottom of your screens there. As the crowd has also lost its spark as such. They're trying to motivate the team, the Lajong faithful, but those chances aren't coming their way that could get them excited enough.
Yeah, it looks like they've run out of legs, a couple of the players. A lot of these boys have played all 4 their games. Maybe this is just one game a little bit too far. It's an opportunity for Hame, as well as Wadajidu, who scored earlier in this tournament, to come on and make what could be a very meaningful impact in these last 10 minutes of this game.
Fresh legs introduced in midfield by Virendra Thapa. Abhay Gurum. Radim Tlang. Again, a nasty challenge. he's going to find himself in the book.
He can't have too many disagreements with that decision with Intalang. It was a challenge that needed to be made as Duran was looking to skip past him. At this stage of the game, better off to commit a foul further away from your goal. Just kill some valuable minutes on the clock.
Yeah, confirmation there that Radeem Tlang is the second player of the back four of the Highlanders that finds himself in the book. Jamiki. Tarian will keep the ball in play. Hame plays it towards the substitute Badajir. And now Aladdin Ajare could make it curtains. Caught in two minds there. The Moroccan caught in two minds.
Yeah, probably just had too much time, too much space. And that sometimes confuses the thought process. It's a poor giveaway from Rudraved Mola, and once he's in that position, Aladdin Ajare sees the keeper off his line, went for the dink, just didn't get it right. Just didn't get the right contact, wanted to get underneath the ball and just stab it over the keeper. That would have certainly put the nail in the coffin for Shillong Lajong. An unusual night for Ajare. So many opportunities for him to hit the target. It's hardly troubled the goalkeeper. That's why Lajong still have a little bit of a lifeline, which is forcing Juan Pedro Benali to make some changes. Looks like another one of their
Jairo's coming in.
Jairo's having to come on.
Jairo is coming in, you're right. For Chima Nunez Brad, Jairo Sampero. We've been told the sub's been put on hold. Perhaps Juan Pedro Benali is trying to figure out a few more permutations and combinations. Jairo is someone who's played or learned his plight as trade with Sevilla, with Malaga, when it comes to Spain, has been in Hamburg and Mainz, so plenty of pedigree when it comes to European football.
Yeah, they certainly have. If you look at the new signings, certainly some illustrious, lots of illustrious names of the clubs of which these players have been at. So vastly experienced players, but so far on the showing, haven't really added that much quality. You look at Shillong Lajong, an all-Indian lineup, and they've given as good as they've got. That begs the question if the tables were even, you could say, in terms of how it is for the sides in this competition. I think some of these ISL teams would struggle against some of these very, very impressive domestic sides.
Ever Brightson's day is done. He was impressive, perhaps would be disappointed with the fact that he couldn't lay out a shot towards goal, and it's Tongpe that comes in his place to lead the line for these final few minutes. Perhaps something different for Ashir Akhtar and Sabako to think about. And confirmation that Jairo has come in for Chima Nunez. At the same time, we saw that McCartan has been called on. He's taken Muthu Mayakanan's place. And one would wonder how that works, because they're completely different players. A shot. Meanwhile, on the volley, again is that man. Or rather, this time it's Parthiv Gogoi.
Yeah, I think some clever substitutions from Juan Pedro Benali, just looking to reinforce that midfield. Make sure he's got some players who can get hold of the ball.
Not sure what happened there, but Gurmeet was completely off his line. On the right flank, it is Shillong Lajong trying to put in the pressure. Badajir slips it through. A shot that's blocked by Ashir Akhtar. And again, enough and more time. Parthiv Gogoi is offside though.
Clever defending from Shillong Lajong. They have to leave themselves obviously man-to-man, sort of 2v2 at the back. And then just recognizing he doesn't want to get into a foot race. Just stepped up ahead. he has this position when you can just see the way Ken Starr's just delayed himself from playing. Patrick Bobo, who just went a little bit early. There's fine margins at this stage of the game. Lajong need to get something. They've got to start knocking on that door. They've huffed and they've puffed. But the likes of Dongpo, who's come on, scored earlier in this tournament, needs to find his scoring boots once again.
You don't forget Shillong Lajong during the group stages. Mighty impressive, won a match 6-0. And that game against the Malaysian Armed Forces, beat Ranglajit United 3-1. Dongpa, of course, scored the match that you're mentioning, or the goal that you're mentioning is the one against the Armed Forces itself. Their only loss was against the Highlanders during that group stage, which we have mentioned earlier, and it seems like, by the look of things, that's where we're headed again. When you compare the two performances, though, Brad, let's say the semi-final one that you're seeing right now and the match that you saw during the group stages, has Shillong Lajong performed better this time, or do you think that that performance was better?
I think they definitely performed a lot better tonight. They were very naive in that opening game to concede in the 5th minute and then to concede immediately after scoring the equaliser.
And Toy, meanwhile, was about to capitalize on that. I'm sorry, I had to cut you off. Toy was about to capitalize on the naivety once more.
Yeah, I think, but at this stage they're going to have to push numbers forward. But I think Lajong have played really well today. They'll be kicking themselves tonight because the manner in which they go down. But that's football for you sometimes. Defenders make a mistake, your forwards miss chances. But when your goalkeeper has a howler, it costs you dearly, and that's what's happened tonight. But they can be really pleased with the way they performed.
Ajari is offside. As Civil takes a hit, and so does the Moroccan magician. And he seems in a heap of bother.
Yeah, once again, we talk about that fine line. They're having to play offside because they have to commit numbers forward. And it's just, a sliver. That was the difference. The keeper just coming out. And he comes out in uncharacteristic fashion. I mean, it's like as a goalkeeper, you normally expect them to be leading with their hands. There's a couple of occasions I see Wells come out with his feet rather than his hand. It's a risky way of coming out to make a save. That he's going to have to work on, and well, he's probably bothered as well as he.
Yeah, quite a dangerous challenge, a tricky challenge there by Civil. Ajare also seems to be needing the help of the physios. Substitutions galore already. I wonder if Juan Pedro Benali would save his sniper. Terrible landing on his shoulder and his knee, Brad.
Yeah, I think he's a big strong boy. He'll be okay. He's just experienced as well, knows at this stage of the game, the longer he can stay down, especially with the keeper getting treatment too, it's going to eat away valuable time and take the momentum out of any of Lajong's attacks.
It's slippery, it's feisty. It's a free kick given away by Tongpe on Ashir Akhtar.
Yeah, this is just the frustration, the inexperience of youth. Ashir Akhtar's he's just going to shield that ball out, and there's not much you can do. So you're either going to give away a goal kick, you might as well get some pride in knocking the defender into the advertising hoardings.
Just send a wee bit of a message that I'm lurking around, even if it's for a few more minutes. Kensta. Offside against Abhay. Just a little slow to react perhaps on that second ball and come back.
And that's happened a couple of times there, Atish, where the forwards, whether it's been Everbrightson or even now Abhay, when they press, they just just don't get.
Jairo was lining up to shoot. Apologies, because Jairo was lining up to shoot, and then he slipped right at the end. But yes, the fact that you mentioned these players have perhaps been caught offside time and again, something that they need to fix. As of now, Wadaji is lurking at the edge of the box. Should anyone find him, 6 minutes of additional time at the end of the second half, 6 more minutes. A hope for Shillong Lajong. They've been caught offside thrice. Everbrighton twice and Abhay once. And have they managed to win themselves a corner? Yes, they have. So a set piece, get the numbers in. They're not the tallest team, but they could be the most effective one.
Yeah, this is where you've got to get the likes of Ken Star, Rudra. Lost the height of Sheen Sokdong, but if they can get their delivery on point, it's likely to be Tramiki to take it. This could be their best chance to push this game into extra time. Sorry, not extra time, straight into the penalty shootout.
Taryang and McCartan having a few choice words with one another, much to the ire of the ref, who's just held up play for a minute. Rudraved Mula, clearly the tallest in the ranks, would be the target man for this corner. Doesn't clear the near post itself though. Another chance. And a chance that's been taken. But for the offside flag. But for the offside flag. Oh, they were all about to celebrate one day in Shillong.
Yeah, it's heartbreak for the Shillong fans. A roof would have come off here at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium if low and coming out as that ball gets played in. Once again, it's a player that's just coming slow back into get himself into an onside position. What they did on this occasion, good finish. He needed to keep himself onside.
That was literally the first shot on target, but won't be considered because, well, Wadaji was slow to come back. At least they know now that they can beat Gurmeet, and in the next 3 minutes they'll be trying to do so again. The challenge there by Kitpok. It's time to throw in the kitchen sink. Commit all the numbers forward. A wave of red against a wall of white. The crowd's trying to motivate them in these final few exchanges as well. Not like that though. Not like that though.
That's summed up Lajong's night in a way where just made some uncharacteristic mistakes. Looks like some of the younger players are affected by the situation. And, you know, that's the difference. It's fine margins at this level. That's where sometimes the experience does count.
But as we speak, the defending champions are on course to the final once more. We'll be taking on a Calcutta club once more. Who will it be? We'll find out tomorrow. But for now, it's a corner for Northeast United. It's hold the ball up at the corner flag time. It's send the ball back towards the defender time.
This is where the experience of Northeast just taking the corner short, playing it back, keeping possession. They know if you keep hold of the ball, Lajong can't trouble them. This is where Lajong now, having got the ball back, have to commit every single man forward. That's not the way they're going to do it.
Taryang wanted to take the chance and find Abhay. Perhaps not the right option. Radim Talang using all his experience. Offside. At the other end, this time it was Ajarya. That last minute now, the last chance saloon for Shillong Lajong to harbour hopes of going into the final. Rudraved Moola telling his goalkeeper, I'll take the kick. Shows that he's going to punt it forward. Sends it towards Kitbok, who does send it towards the goal, and Gurmeet has been clattered into by Tongpa. Unnecessarily so, perhaps, and a yellow card for the youngster.
Now that's where the youngsters just got to learn. You're getting nothing out of that. It's just sheer frustration now. You know, that's only going to add another 30 seconds, 40 seconds to the clock, where Gurmeet doesn't have to worry about the 8-second rule now of delivering the ball. The keeper's clearly got it. It's just the frustration of the poor delivery you can say from the set piece, and that's something that we've said all night. The set piece delivery just hasn't been on point. They need to get back to the drawing board, do their homework, and realise that when you're playing against some of the opposition where it might on paper be superior to you, you have to, those fine margins of the set pieces is where you can make the difference.
Parthiv Gogoi also just wasting time, adding to the frustrations of those in red. Tarian will launch this forward. Tarian. This could be a chance. Slightly overhit on the pass by Tongpa, and that should be that. In their quest to climb the summit once more, the Highlanders have crossed the final hurdle. The defending champions find themselves in the final of the Indian Oil Duran Cup once more, courtesy a 36-minute goal by Redeem Tilang, and at full time, they have defeated Shillong Lajong in a repeat of last year's semi-final. It is Shillong Lajong 0, Northeast United 1. Brad, impressive by Shillong Lajong, but then those fine margins, those little errors, is what they've ended up ruining.
Yeah, certainly impressive if you look at the balance of the tournament. I think they'll be happy with how this young side, they've decided to go with an all-Indian lineup into this tournament and into the I-League this season, and these boys can hold their heads up. They've really put in a solid performance, an impressive performance, along with, I think, Borderland. They've been the sides to watch in terms of entertainment, and especially from this side of the draw. But they've come up against a side that's had that little bit more experience, a little bit more street smartness, and in the key.
मेरा समझ ही नहीं बा मिल गया